Welcome to the Motormouth YouTube channel. I'm Zach.
I'm Andrea.
And we do full-length car reviews each and every week, and we have a segment halfway through each video called Questions, Coffee, and Cars, and we've spun it off into its own thing. We're at number 44, right? Number 44. All right, so if you want to get a question in, how do you do it?
Follow along on Instagram at Motormouth_Andrea. Every Sunday, I put a post out at 7 a.m. Pacific time, and it's only up for a short time. Once we gather all of our questions, it's deleted, and we start the show.
Time now for Questions, Coffee, and Cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
Can't wait for your show every week. Thank you. Do you purchase the manufacturer extended warranty when you buy your vehicles?
We don't, because we'll just pick a random mainline car. You get a 3-year warranty.
Yeah.
Right? 36,000 miles or 60,000 kilometers. So when you go and you buy the warranty from the dealer, you're duplicating warranty. So you've already bought the car, that has a warranty.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I always explain to people is life happens. You may spend $2,000 or $3,000 extra to buy an extended warranty, and then something happens. You get a new job somewhere else. You can't take that car. You got to sell the car.
Yeah.
The car's in a bad accident, and then you don't want to keep the car any longer. So you're paying for something that you just don't need right away.
And I mean, brands like Kia, Hyundai, they have a 5-year warranty, which is really long. However, I will give kind of the other side of the picture as well. Although we don't buy it, we don't think it's necessary. My brother, who has an old Santa Fe, it's about, I think, 10 years old now. When he purchased it, he decided he would buy the extended warranty, which actually surprised me when he told me this. Thank goodness he did, because after the 5-year warranty was done, a year later, he had trouble with his engine.
Yeah, but that's getting back to my point, is you can buy a warranty as your initial warranty is about to expire. So in the case of Hyundai or Kia, you could get up to the 4-year mark, 4.5 years, and then you can buy an extended warranty. You can often do it from the manufacturer. You can do third-party warranties. So he could have done that, but he paid for it at the beginning. The other thing is, so in his example, he buys the car, he makes payments on the car, and you're paying interest on that money.
Yeah.
So that $2,000 or $3,000 money is being added to the cost of the car, and he's paying for that for 5 years before he actually uses it. So if you calculate how much he spent in interest and the initial amount, is it worth it? It
doesn't make sense, I think. But you cannot get a manufacturer's warranty after that. It's a third-party warranty. You get a one-shot with the dealership. That's the whole thing. That's where the fear is.
If you lease a car, for example, and then you buy it from the dealer, you can get it certified again.
Okay, so I also heard from another viewer who was selling his Hyundai, and it was an EV, and the only way that the warranty to pass it along is that it's got to be a
certified pre-owned.
Yeah, certified pre-owned vehicle. Otherwise, you can't pass the warranty along. Well, so definitely dig a little bit into it, because it's different brand by brand.
Brand to brand.
Yeah. Enjoy your show, and would absolutely follow a fashion page by Andrea. Thank you. I wish I had more time.
I'm sure a lot of guys would follow your fashion page, Andrea, because they're there for the fashion. Yeah.
Any word on a release date for the 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe? So we've been told spring of 2024 it's going to hit dealerships. Great show. Amazing work by you and your team.
Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. You already have a fashion page. It's called Instagram.
I do.
I mean, every picture at the front is Andrea standing there with her outfit on.
With my cute outfit.
Yeah, so there you go. Fill your boots, boys.
Question,
Fill your
which
boots.
car or SUV, gas or hybrid, would you recommend for supreme ride quality, quiet cabin, light steering, and awesome suspension is what we are focusing on.
Is it luxury?
Didn't say either way.
You know what's interesting is that some of the quietest, smoothest, and most comfortable riding vehicles are General Motors vehicles.
Yeah, true.
Like when you drive a General Motors car, so one thing that they excel at, in my opinion, is making excellent suspension calibration. They do a really good job of making their cars smooth and comfortable. And you'd be surprised if you drove a General Motors vehicle how nicely they ride.
You know, like even a Chevrolet, we were surprised by, we haven't driven the new Traverse yet, but even the older model.
Or the Equinox,
Equinox. And then,
you can go up
any
to
sort
Buick.
of Lincoln is wonderful too. But one that does an extremely good job, and it doesn't matter what vehicle you get in, like subcompact, compact, full size, Volvo. I'm always impressed with how quiet the cabin is, how smooth the ride is, and the interiors are very beautiful.
And Lincoln's also very plush.
My wife and I both follow you and Zach and love your show. Thank you. We're seeing EV sales in the U.S. slowing down with many automakers and dealers starting to give sizable discounts. Do you think Canada will follow what's happening in the U.S.?
We were just in California. Now, California has expensive gasoline compared to the rest of the U.S.,
Yeah.
but it's still a lot less than Canada. So that's another major factor is the cost of fuel. So the cheaper the cost of fuel,
Yeah.
the less EVs and plug-ins they sell.
Sure.
The higher the cost, which is the whole idea and the theory behind carbon taxes, is you make the cost of, carbon-based fuel too expensive, and hopefully you can make the cost of electric vehicles cheaper. We're just not seeing that.
No. Now, one model, or not one model, one brand that really lowered the price with EVs is Tesla. I mean, when you take a look at plug-in hybrids, which are quite expensive, especially on the higher trims, and then you look at Tesla, I mean, it's quite a deal right now, and I can see why they are so popular, and that Model Y is Model Y, Model 3, both dominating the market. Dime a dozen here in Vancouver,
Yeah, they're
everywhere you
everywhere.
look.
The thing is, quickly on the whole availability and also the desirability and when people buying them. So even Tesla's market share dropped by 10% last year. They have more competitors. You're seeing on the high end for the Model S and the Model X, they have Mercedes now and BMW. So they're all very good alternatives, and they offer way more luxury. The mainline cars, it's Hyundai and Kia really are the ones that are dominating that space. But you're seeing high fuel prices in Canada are driving EV sales. But if the whole economy slows down any farther, then there will be deals on all cars, never mind just EVs.
Yeah, when we were in California, Tesla's everywhere, and they have the charging infrastructure in place. I get why people love that brand. It does a lot well technology-wise, and then, like I said, the charging infrastructure, and now price. Before it was a lot of money, now they've lowered them.
The problem with Tesla, with their reduced market share, is and their profitability is going down. They don't really have anywhere to go in terms of price, but up. They can't drop the price anymore.
No, definitely not. How reliable are the J.D. Power dependability ratings? For 2023, they put Kia and Genesis above the likes of Toyota and Honda. Lexus still on top, but Kia, Buick, and Chevy that high on reliability scores is alarming. So before you start on, this is a bit of
a rant,
Yeah. So the dependability study, J.D. Power follows real owners for 3 years. And they talk about issues. Now, it's a broad range of issues. It's not just about, the powertrain. It could be trouble with the infotainment system. It could be a squeaky panoramic sunroof and issues. My mom, who has a Tucson plug-in hybrid, has actually been contacted by J.D. Power and want to follow her for 3 years. And she has had no issues with her Tucson. So obviously, that's going to bump the Hyundai score up a bit. On to you, Zach.
Okay, so we hear all the time whenever we talk about J.D. Power is it's bought and paid for. They sell it for advertising. Here's the way it works. I have done the interviews with the people at J.D. Power. Dave Sargent used to be the head of automotive. I've done many radio interviews with him, and I ask him this question. So the way J.D. Power works is they do all of these studies following these vehicles over many years. Andrea's mom is an example.
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't know who the people are. It's just a vehicle, a VIN, and they follow that, how many trips it goes back to the dealer, and they do all kinds of research on that. There's so much research that they do on these cars that we never see and the public never sees. So how they make their money and how they're in business is they go to the manufacturer and they say, Hyundai, Kia, Toyota, whoever it is, would you like this information? We have a lot of information about your cars and your customers. And all of them, except for one, Tesla, buy it. They all buy it. So when you have people say that J.D. Power is bought and paid for, they've done the work in advance.
They have.
and then they give that information to the car brands. There's other companies that do this that you've never even heard of before. Merritt's is another company that does it. So there's lots of research going on, and they have to pay for that somehow.
And anytime we quote JD Power, well, there's always people below who will say, "Oh no, JD Power is terrible. The results are not accurate. They are paying manufacturers are paying them, and that, yes, manufacturers are paying them, but for different reasons,
For all
not
that data.
for good results.
No.
For the data."
Okay, one quick thing.
Yeah.
Toyota has more vehicles than any other brand. They have, little cars, the pickup trucks, everything in between. So the likelihood that there's going to be some issues is greater because they have many more different vehicles. Other brands have limited numbers of vehicles, therefore they can concentrate on getting those ones right. The one thing I always say to people is, if it's bought and paid for, well, why doesn't Land Rover just carve a big check and go to the top of the list?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Why are they always at the bottom?
It really depends about new models and their introduction. It'll be interesting to see how Mazda does, because they've got the new CX-90. They recently released the CX-50. They've got the CX-70 coming. And after looking at some forums of people who own the CX-50, they're having some issues with it. So you might see Mazda come down on the list based on new vehicles that are being introduced. We saw that with the Acura RDX when it first got that full redesign. It had a lot of problems, but now the current model is much more
better.
reliable. My current car is a 2011. I buy new and with good maintenance drive my cars to the last drop. The car buying landscape has changed drastically since I last shopped for one, wondering about considerations for lease versus buying. Lots of hybrids are coming, but not quite here yet, or there's an ages long wait. Love your show, subscribe, and watch as soon as they drop. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Like and subscribe. Well, leasing is very advantageous for several reasons, and a lot of people just are fundamentally opposed to the whole idea. They feel like they're just renting the car. They're not renting the car. It's just another way to buy a car. So if you lease a car for 3 or 4 years, I call it the long-term test drive, then you can just buy it out at the end of the 3 or 4 years, or get another loan or what have you. So there are some advantages to leasing. I understand a lot of people are just opposed to it. And if you buy and hold your car long-term, paying it off, and keeping isn't a bad way to go.
And some people will lease, do a 3-year, 4-year lease, and then the car is very good. It's been excellent to them, and they buy it out, or they buy it out and they sell it because they'll get more if they sell it themselves than just trading it in at the dealership. So there's lots of different options. If you decide that you're buying a vehicle and you're paying cash, well, that's a whole different story. Then you don't have those monthly payments. And I think it also depends on interest rates. Interest rates are really high right now if you are leasing, so you have to take all that into consideration. Amazing show. Thank you. I recently test drove a RAV4 Hybrid XLE with the premium package. My wife and I share our vehicle. With the additional price of the premium package, $800 increased on the XLE for 2024 model, plus $2,000 for the premium package. Would you recommend ordering it with a premium package? Thank you for the amazing content. I'm from Canada.
Well, listen, these are very personal decisions, and they come down to your finances. If the $2,000 is a deal breaker, and you really just can't afford the monthly payment, for example, or the lease payment, don't get it. Everybody would love to have the top trim with all the toys, but sometimes you just got to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? That's out of our price range.
You did mention that you share it with your wife, and there is a feature in the premium package that might be really important to you, like driver's seat memory. And then that package also has soft text seats. So if you like those two features, then I would say make the stretch for the premium package. If you don't care about them, don't bother.
Yeah, it's very personal.
My VW dealer is pushing me hard to lease a 2023 ID4. Love the car, but I've heard I should wait for the 2024 with better range and more power. Have you seen the 2024 update?
Okay, so quickly on, they're pushing it because now they have availability.
That's right.
When the ID4 first came out, people were like, oh, it's got 3 years to get one. Well, that didn't turn out, did it?
No.
Now, because they've moved production to Chattanooga, Tennessee, they were initially made in Germany. Now they have domestic North American production. They're making a lot of them, and they're shipping them to the dealers, and the EV sales are kind of waning. Couple of things worth waiting for. We drove the ID7 with the updated electric motors. massive difference in terms of range. And the other thing is Volkswagen's the last holdout, one of the last there's only two, I'm trying to remember the other one is, for the charging protocol that Tesla came up with. All of the other brands have said, we're going to go to that too. Volkswagen hasn't committed yet.
I think that the ID4, those are substantial updates to it. So if you can wait. But if you can't, then, and you need a vehicle now, I think that the ID4 is a good option the way it is right now. But the thing is, what happens when a brand new ID4 comes out, like you said, with more power and more range? What happens to the other models? There's a couple things. People who are buying a used electric vehicle, that range that's offered on the 2023 ID4 might be plenty for them. It all depends on your daily needs.
This goes back to the last question. This would be a perfect idea to get a 2-year lease.
Yeah.
So lease it for 2 years. The new updated model will come with the new batteries, and maybe Volkswagen will be on board with the charging protocol, and then you can get that vehicle. So you can kind of have your cake and eat it too. Do a short-term lease.
Yep.
And
and then trade it in at the dealership.
And see how the
especially
numbers
if you have
land.
a good relationship, right? Love your show. Thank you. Is going electric a good choice at this time, or is hybrid a better choice? Hybrids are really hard to get in Canada.
Oh boy, this is
Hybrids
the longest.
are tough.
This is like we have this conversation all the time with people.
Don't
so
we?
When do you jump in? That's the whole problem. Is that first of all, electric vehicles are expensive.
Yeah.
I don't think they're getting cheaper. And depends on where you live. Like if you live in a condo or an apartment and you don't have a place to plug in a vehicle that needs a plug, do not buy one. Get a hybrid.
I think it also depends what brand you're going with. And if you're leasing versus buying, interest rates, monthly payments, you factor in gas and what you're paying each month for gas. And if you break it all down and you do a bit of a spreadsheet, and maybe you get a lower trimmed EV model, and you qualify for the federal rebate in Canada of $5,000, you know what? It might balance itself out, but you've got to do the math, got to create your own spreadsheet and how you drive, and go from there. But you also have to be able to plug it in every night too.
This is one of the things I always say about electric vehicles. It's more up here and it's less about here.
Yes.
You know, buying a car in the past was all about passion. Oh, I really want that. I love that. It's got the power. I like the color, all that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Now it's all more clinical. Back to the ID4, because it's nice to keep a theme here, is when you start crunching the numbers, okay, say you spend, we'll just say $250 or $300 a month on gas. And then you've got an ID4, which is roughly the same size as a Tiguan. And then you throw in the rebate you're going to get with it, and you're going to save that $300 a month in gas. And then you start working out what it costs you a month to get the Tiguan and versus the ID4. For some people, it's cheaper.
Sometimes it will be cheaper when you throw in that rebate. You have to have a plug. Somebody said to me, but Andrea, what if I get it? I don't have the charging infrastructure in place.
Don't do
but
it.
What if I just go to the mall every night? And I said, you know what? You're going to get tired of the mall. You're good. I like the mall.
Even Andrea would get. No, wait a second.
I like the mall.
Could you get tired of the mall, Andrea? All that mall fresh air, full of shoes and new clothes.
Yes. I would get tired of going to the mall every single night to charge
Well, I don't
my
think you need to
electric
go every
vehicle.
night.
No, you wouldn't need to. Let's say you would go
Twice a week, 3
Depends
times a
how
week.
much you're driving.
The
You would
best
go.
way to do it is if you had a really good charger at a grocery store.
Yes.
So you could double and you could do mall one day.
Yeah.
Couple days later, you go to the grocery store.
Yeah, you could have fun with it. How about that? Or
Not in a million years would
maybe
I.
you could share one with your neighbor. Maybe your neighbor has a charger and
That's
you
what
could
we
share
do.
it up.
That's the thing is, and Andrea, I heard that he's going to be building a laneway house, so the charger's going to be going away.
Oh, no.
So we have all of these press
Who'd you
cars.
hear that from?
The guy who has the charger. So we have all of these plug-ins and electric cars, and we have a 100-year-old house. We live in an old neighborhood. And to reconfigure the back of our house would be a lot of money and a lot of headache. And our other neighbor, Dr. Phil, we call him the real Dr. Phil, not the TV Dr. Phil. So Dr. Phil said, why don't you, the guy down the street's got his plug at why don't you just ask if you could use his? Oh, I went up to him one day and I said, hey, can I pay you to plug our cars in when we need them? And the guy goes, sure, no problem. But now he tells me he was out walking his dog and he said, yeah.
Dr. Phil gets all the info, hey?
Yeah, Dr. Phil's good. He's retired now, so he's got his time in his
guy.
hands. So he says, yeah, we're going to be building a laneway house, so the charger's going away.
Here's the thing about Vancouver and City Council. It takes a while to get things going.
It's going to be a while.
So my bet is it's not going to happen right away. So we're good for a bit. We're good.
Well, we also have to walk the dog one day and meet someone else with a charger and see
I'm
if we
sure
can strike the
do
same
that.
deal. I pay well. We pay well. I said to Andrea, I told her how much I was paying the guy every month. She goes, "What? You're paying him that much?" I said, "I want him happy. I want him happy."
He seems happy.
He seems happy.
Seems happy. So that's it for the show today. Follow along on Instagram at motormouth_Andrea to get your question in. I put a post out every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time. It's only up for a short time. Once we gather our questions, the post is deleted and we start the show.
Love the show.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.